The inmate I was assigned to interview asked if I'd stand in his family photo because they needed someone who looked forgiven. I was a grad student at Northwestern doing a documentary on prison reform. My professor assigned me to interview Marcus Holt, 20 years on death row, up for his first parole hearing in Illinois. The prison was 3 hours away. I drove there on a Tuesday morning expecting to meet a monster. When I sat down across from him in the visiting room, he seemed different, calm, reflective, soft-spoken. He had reading glasses and a worn Bible next to him. "Thank you for coming," he said quietly. Not many people want to hear what someone like me has to say. We talked for 2 hours that first visit. He didn't make excuses for what he'd done. He talked about his mistakes, his faith, how he'd spent every day of the last 2 decades trying to become someone worth forgiving. "I know what I did was unforgivable," he said, his voice cracking slightly, "but I've tried to become someone my daughter wouldn't be ashamed of." He pulled out a small, creased photograph from his shirt pocket. A little girl with pigtails, maybe 3 years old, smiling at the camera. She was 3 when they locked me up. She's 23 now. Hasn't spoken to me in 15 years. My heart broke for him. I thought about my own relationship with my dad, how devastating it would be to lose that. Over the next month, I visited him 4 more times. Each conversation deepened my belief that he genuinely changed. He talked about the books he'd read, the men he'd mentored in prison, the letters he'd written to his daughter that she never answered. "I don't blame her," he told me during our 4th visit. "I destroyed her childhood. She has every right to hate me." Then during our 5th visit, he asked, "My parole hearing is next month. My lawyer says having family there helps show rehabilitation, but my daughter won't come. My parents are dead. I don't have anyone." He looked down at his hands. Would you stand with me just for the photo? So the board sees someone believes I've changed? Someone from the outside world who thinks I deserve a second chance?" I hesitated. This felt wrong. I barely knew this man. "Please," he said, meeting my eyes. "You've seen who I am now. You've spent hours with me. You know I'm different. I just need one person to show I'm not alone anymore. That someone out there thinks I can make it." Against every instinct screaming at me to say no, I agreed. "Thank you," he said, and for the first time I saw him tear up. "You have no idea what this means." 3 weeks later, I showed up to the parole hearing in a button-down shirt and tie. His lawyer had coached me on what to say if asked. Nothing specific, just that I'd spent time with him and believed in his rehabilitation. I stood beside him for the family photo, put my hand on his shoulder, smiled like I was proud of his transformation. The parole board asked me questions. How long had I known him? What made me believe he'd changed? Did I think he posed a risk to society? I answered honestly. I told them about our conversations, his remorse, his growth. I believed every word I said. The board deliberated for 40 minutes. They granted him supervised release. Marcus shook my hand afterward, tears streaming down his face. "You gave me my life back," he said. I felt good driving home, like I'd done something meaningful, like I'd helped someone who deserved it. 2 weeks later, I got a call from a detective. "You're the journalism student who interviewed Marcus Holt?" "Yeah, why?" "He killed someone yesterday. Waitress at a diner in Rockford. Violated parole within 72 hours of release." My stomach dropped. The room started spinning. "We need you to come in. Your testimony was part of his appeal package. The board cited you specifically, an educated graduate student who vouched for his character." I drove to the station in complete shock, barely able to see the road through my tears. The detective showed me the case file. Multiple victims' families had fought his parole, written letters, testified, begged the board not to release him. But my photo, me standing there like his proud nephew, my testimony about his transformation, had tipped the scales. "Did he ever mention his daughter to you?" the detective asked. "Yeah," said she was 23, hadn't spoken in 15 years because of what he did. The detective slid another photo across the table. A gravestone, born April 1998, died June 2001. "His daughter's been dead for 22 years, he said flatly. "He killed her when she was 3, drowned her in a bathtub. That's why he's in here." I felt like I was going to vomit. The photo he'd shown me, the little girl with pigtails, was of his victim, the child he'd murdered. "Everything he told you was a lie," the detective continued. "The remorse, the faith, the letters to his daughter, all of it. He's done this before. Found sympathetic people, manipulated them. This is his 3rd parole hearing. The first 2, he had other witnesses, people who believed his act." I couldn't speak. "The victim's family is filing a civil suit against you for negligent character testimony." 3 days later, I received a letter, prison postmark. I almost threw it away, but I opened it. "Thanks for the photo, kid. Forgiveness looks good on you. You should have seen your face when you talked about redemption. Almost made me believe it myself. The waitress he killed was 23, the same age his daughter would have been."